greeting which I just mentioned to you from a Sikh faith, the interpretive nature of that means sovereign belongs to all wisdom and victory belongs to all wisdom. I want you to think about that for a second, because the awesome wisdom is being invoked for anything and everything Sikh faith is involved in. Today we are gathered here in the traditional space of Kulin Nation. It's 4 Aboriginal indigenous groups, Australia's original inhabitants, gifted us today's Melbourne at the banks of Yarra, which in the folklore is known as the River of Mist. And we are here at the Parliament of Victoria to commemorate the advent of the founder of Sikhs, popularly Sikhism. His name is Guru Nanak Sahib. And about the arrival of Guru Nanak Sahib 550 years ago, a Sikh theologian, a linguist, and a diplomat named Pai Das. This is what he reported about the arrival of Guru Nanak as we sit here at the Yarra Banks Road. He said, the mist cleared, the light scattered, the sun rose, the stars disappeared, and the darkness dispelled. The lion roared, and the flock of deer ran away. So Guru Nanak for us is not just a man who looks like an old man. Guru Nanak in Sikh tradition is recorded, if you want to visualize Guru Nanak, he is the sun and the lion. I want you to think about that for a second. The sun, because nothing is possible without the sun. No life is possible without the sun. There is no SikhRI possible without the sun, Guru Nanak. And the lion part is, as the lion roars about what the declaration is, the smaller thoughts run away when the bigger thought appears. Guru Nanak Sahib's unique and unparalleled proclamation in the late 15th century was of Eko Onkar. Eko Onkar means the one force that sees only oneness. This is very important. This is not just about the semantic idea of a god or a Greek mythology of a god or Indologies of the gods. This actually is about, I know the new Star Wars movie is about to come out. It is about something like that force. The force which is one force, which only sees oneness. And what that means today is for among 7.5 billion people on the earth, this oneness exists. And you know this, we all have the exact same DNA. The only thing which is different between us, among us, is the sequencing of the DNA. And in that sequencing, Guru Nanak comes and offers that we must see the oneness. So that force paradigm, that one force paradigm, when he declared this, it created a symbiotic relationship between the doctrine of love and justice. This is very important for Sikhs, because the largest Sikh population is in Melbourne area in Victoria. So you must understand how Sikhs are wired. What is the sequencing of their DNA? And the sequencing of their DNA is this doctrine of love and justice, which is a symbiotic relationship, which means the one cannot exist without the other. They exist together. That paradigm changed South Asia and beyond. You heard historical narratives are Guru Nanak traveled from Saudi Arabia to Sri Lanka and everything in between. This unique declaration was transferred into a governing principle that sees no otherness. What that means is, in simple terms of today's vocabularies, which refuses to acknowledge any racism or any sexism. That's what changed the destiny in South Asia. And today when we talk about from a governing angle, it means no policies must be entertained which sees any racism or any sexism. At this juncture of 550th anniversary, its reinterpretation awaits today's Victoria, yes. Because Sikhs are here now. We might be the new kids on the block, but we are going to bring the idea of one force into seeing oneness in Victoria as well. So today, globally, this otherness is accentuated via indulgence in religious bigotry and extremely dangerous ultra-nationalism. All of you know this if you see the global news. And for our times, this one force paradigm addresses this global challenge by integrating the aptitude of political activism. Yes, I mean, this is a center of political activity. We are sitting in a parliament. So we have to take the aptitude of political activism and we have to add the gift of spiritual elevation within it. This is how we integrate and see the oneness. So today we commemorate Nanak Sahib 550 in Melbourne, where, and I took this exactly from the website of this parliament, where the Victorian government acknowledges Aboriginal traditions, traditional owners of country throughout Victoria, and pays respects to their cultures and elders, past, present, and emerging. Let me tell you, this is amazing and beautiful. I think the only place on earth where this has actually happened as an acknowledgement even is only in Victoria. So congratulations on that. Now I want to bring Guru Nanak into this. This acknowledgement needs furthering into actionable policies, because that's why Parliament exists, not just for declaration. So let us apply this oneness paradigm which demands that no one is treated as the other. Otherness must replace and establish oneness. So Sikh's original impetus, as I said, was about love and justice, and that love and justice has to be brought in, as Guru Nanak was called in our scriptural tradition, through one light. There's only one light in this world, and guaranteeing the birthright of everyone in Victoria as well. So we are told to become like the Car. This is the eternal gift Guru Nanak gave 550 years ago. We don't worship the force, we invoke the force, we become the force itself. And now, on behalf of Sikhs of Victoria, I share this eternal gift with all of you in Victoria to carve out loving public spaces, public policies, especially toward the unrepresented and unrepresented peoples and nations. This just happened. National Treaty was promised in 1988 here. It must come soon after the first People's Assembly meets on December 10th. After they deliberate on the reparations, reparation is one way to fix things. And this Parliament is doing this right now in the world and setting an example for the world how to do this. And you're doing it because you want to give a voice to the voiceless after 230 years. Victoria's reputation is global for being the most socially progressive and multicultural. I ask the Parliament of Victoria's empathy towards growing Sikh community on this stolen land as well. So I'm not going to connect with the Sikhs. I do have one ask. Sikhs are still awaiting certain acknowledgements in India also, where 80% of the 30 million Sikhs currently live, which is roughly the full population of Australia. So it's a pretty sizable community, the 5th largest adherents in the world. 30 million, still 80% of those live in India. Victoria has its India engagement strategy. Out of its 4 outcomes, 3 are about revenue and 1 is about education. And it says, and I quote, to be of equal exchange, meaningful engagement, personal connections, and a long-term commitment. This is what this Parliament is currently working with. And with a country where 80% of the Sikh population still lives. And what you have already done in this state, this province, we would like you to think about for a second, what can you do for the Sikhs? I ask this esteemed Parliament and its citizenry which is here, to safeguard the economics does not trump human rights, because that's what's happening in the world. And you have demonstrated that you are not going to do that. So I ask you to do that within your India strategy, that economics must not trump the human rights of Sikhs in India, because means do justify the end. So let's apply that. Do acknowledge and share with the government of India the nuances of Victorian model. The nuances of Victorian model for the First Nations Assembly and its anticipated treaty. That's what we ask you to share. We believe in working with anyone and everyone, including Indians at large, but we ask you to share what you have modeled here with your extreme hard work in trying to both their acknowledgements now. So Guru Nanak Sahib's oneness model was about eventually creating just economic and political policies. Because we are all born out of one light, and that's the wisdom we ask you to share. Let the one light challenge the darkness in all spaces, from our Victoria to our Punjab as well. Thank you.